The air in Bunker 7 tasted like rust and failure. Kellen Ward sat alone in the dark, surrounded by flickering monitors and the hum of dying machinery. Above him, through kilometers of rock and ruin, the triumvirate armada owned the sky. Their ships stretched across Earth's orbit like a steel curtain, blotting out the stars humanity had once dreamed of reaching. He hadn't seen sunlight in 43 days. The invasion had been swift, brutal, efficient. 3 ancient empires, the Vorath Dominion, the Kesh Hierarchy, and the Seln Confederacy, had arrived as one. They called themselves the Triumvirate. They called their arrival inevitable. Humanity called it doomsday. Earth's fleets had fought. Oh, they'd fought. Every carrier, every cruiser, every desperate pilot who could still draw breath had thrown themselves at the blockade. Kellen had watched the battles on emergency feeds, watched the names of ships blink out one by one like dying stars. One's Valiant, gone. One's Horizon, gone. One's Last Hope, gone. The irony wasn't lost on him. Now the cities were ash. The orbital stations were debris. The governments were silent. Earth was a tomb, and Kellen Ward, a forgotten fleet technician who'd been running diagnostics when the world ended, was its last gravedigger. He should have been dead too. Would have been, if he hadn't been deep in the sublevels when the plasma strikes began. Now he existed in a strange purgatory, breathing recycled air and watching static-filled screens, waiting for the moment his power cells finally gave out. But there was one screen that didn't show static, one console that still glowed green in the darkness, one system that had never been shut down, only sealed. Project Revenant. Kellen had stumbled across it 3 days ago, buried in the bunker's restricted archives. At first he thought it was a myth. Fleet legends whispered about it in bars and ready rooms, the ghost fleet they called it. Ships that weren't ships. Weapons that weren't weapons. Something humanity had built in desperation, then locked away in horror. The files were encrypted with warnings, red text, biometric locks, authorization levels that no longer existed. Classified neural echo. Protocol warning, autonomous warfare. System warning. Ethical violations confirmed do not activate without Senate approval. Kellen had laughed at that last part. There was no Senate. There was no fleet. There was no approval to give. There was only him and the enemy above and a choice. He'd spent 2 days breaking through the security protocols. 2 days reading files that made his stomach turn. 2 days learning what humanity had done in the war before this one, the war everyone wanted to forget. Project Revenant was born 30 years ago, during the frontier conflicts. Back then, humanity faced extinction from a different enemy. Desperate, they'd turned to their brightest minds and asked an impossible question. How do you create a perfect soldier? The answer was terrible. You take warriors, pilots, captains, soldiers who'd already given everything, and in their final moments you copy them. Not their bodies, their minds, their instincts, their memories, their rage. You trap those echoes inside warships, give them teeth and claws and fusion cores, and you unleash them. Neural echo warfare. Ghosts in the machine. Dead men sailing. The ghost fleet had won that war. And then humanity had looked at what it created and recoiled. These weren't drones. They were haunted. They remembered dying. They remembered hate. Some of them remembered too much, so the Senate sealed them, locked them in digital tombs scattered across dead systems, powered down but not erased. Waiting. Kellen stared at the activation console. His hand hovered over the keyboard. The bunker trembled. Somewhere far above, another strike hit the surface. The triumvirate was methodical. They weren't invading. They were erasing. Every day they dropped plasma ordnance on another grid sector, sterilizing, claiming. Soon they'd reach this bunker. Soon Kellen would be ash too. He thought about the files, about the warnings, about the psychological profiles of the ghost captains. Men and women who'd been scanned in battle, their final thoughts burned into silicon. Some had been heroes. Some had been broken. All of them had been angry. The files said Project Revenant was too dangerous, that the neural echoes were unstable, that they'd won the last war but nearly started another one fighting each other when no enemy remained. Kellen looked up at the ceiling, at the rock between him and the alien blockade. Unstable, he whispered. Good. His fingers moved across the keyboard. Authorization overrides fell like dominoes. Biometric locks opened to dead men's codes. Kellen typed commands he barely understood, following installation protocols written by engineers who were now dust. The console flashed red, then amber, then green. Ghost Fleet activation sequence initiated. Neural echo handshake in progress warning. Autonomous systems waking static filled the speakers. Then silence. Then, who woke us? The voice was male, rough, old, dead. Kellen's mouth went dry. I did. Identification. Technician First Class Kellen Ward, Fleet Maintenance Division. He swallowed. I think I'm all that's left. Silence. Processing. Then, status of Earth? Blockaded, occupied, burning. Status of the fleet? Destroyed. Status of the enemy? Kellen looked at the tactical display. At the thousands of alien signatures choking Earth's orbit. Above us, he whispered. Another pause. Shorter. Then the voice came back. And this time, Kellen heard something in it that made his blood run cold. It was smiling. Good, the ghost said. Let's haunt them. The bunker's lights flickered. Every console surged with power. Somewhere in the depths of the facility, ancient systems groaned to life. Systems that had been sleeping for 3 decades, dreaming electric dreams of war. Kellen watched his screens fill with data. Ship designations scrolled past. Neural echo profiles loaded. Status indicators blinked from red to amber to green, one after another, like corpses opening their eyes. How many? He asked. 47 active hulls, the voice replied. It called itself Commodore Arcturus, or rather it had been Commodore Arcturus once. The real man had died in the frontier wars. His mind scanned 3 seconds before his ship exploded. What remained was an echo, a memory that could fight, scattered across 3 dead systems. Awakening protocols in progress. 47 against. Kellen checked the tactical display. His stomach sank. Against 4,000. 47 that remember how to die, Arcturus said. They don't. More voices crackled through the speakers. Other echoes, other ghosts. Some sounded human. Others sounded like something that had been human once before death and digitization had changed them. Finally, I've been waiting in the dark for... Where's my crew? Where's my crew? Arcturus, you old bastard, is that you? A tactical assessment updating enemy fleet composition is... I remember burning. Kellen flinched at that last one. It came from a signature labeled UNSGF Phantom. A stealth carrier. No name, no rank. Just a designation and a psychological profile marked unstable. Recommend permanent deactivation. Phantom. Status check, Arcturus commanded. Silence. Then a whisper, soft and broken. I'm still burning, Commodore. I've been burning for 30 years. Can you fight? I'm always fighting. Arcturus addressed the fleet. All Echo units, this is Commodore Arcturus. We've been reactivated under emergency protocols. Earth is under siege by a triumvirate force. Vorath, Kesh, and Seln coalition. Our fleet is gone. Our cities are ash. Humanity is on the edge of extinction. So it's Tuesday, another voice drawled. Captain Reeve, destroyer class. Her psychological profile said she'd died laughing. Somehow that tracked. Tactical situation, Arcturus continued, ignoring her. Enemy blockade formation, standard siege doctrine. They're exterminating surface populations grid by grid. Methodical, patient. They think they've already won. They think we're human, a new voice said. Deep, calm. Admiral Cade, the Ghost Fleet's former commander. They're scanning for life signs. Heat signatures. Standard biomechanical warfare. They don't know about us, Reeve said, and Kellen heard the smile in her voice. They don't know humanity builds ghosts. Kellen cleared his throat. There's something else you should know. The triumvirate, they're not just invading. They're claiming Earth as reparations. Reparations, Arcturus asked, for humanity's expansion. They say we colonize systems that belong to them. That we broke ancient treaties. That this is... Kellen's voice hardened. That this is justice. Silence filled the channel. When Arcturus spoke again, his voice was ice. Justice. They bomb cities and call it justice. They murder billions and call it reparations. A pause. Kellen, I'm going to tell you something about ghosts. We don't care about justice. We don't care about treaties. We died once already. We've got nothing left to lose and everything to haunt. Activation complete, Admiral Cade reported. All 47 hulls online. Neural echoes stable, mostly. Something that might have been amusement touched his tone. Weapons hot. Drives charged. We're ready to sail. Kellen pulled up the tactical display. The Ghost Fleet signatures were scattered across 3 systems. Dead zones humanity had abandoned after the frontier wars. Each ship was small. Compared to the triumvirate, dreadnoughts, frigates, destroyers, a handful of cruisers, 1 carrier. Against 4,000 alien warships, they looked like embers, but embers could start fires. Transit vectors calculated, Cade said. We'll quantum jump directly into Earth orbit. Hit them before they know we exist. No, Arcturus said. Silence. No, Cade repeated. We're not jumping into orbit, Arcturus said. We're jumping through their formation. Phantom, I need stealth coordinates. Reeve, I need firing solutions. The rest of you... His voice dropped into something that sounded like hunger. I need you to remember what it felt like to die, and I need you to make them feel it too. Kellen watched the tactical display recalculate. The Ghost Fleet wasn't forming a battle line. They were plotting intercept vectors, dozens of them threading through the triumvirate blockade like needles through flesh. Dispersal pattern, he whispered. You're scattering. We're haunting, Arcturus corrected. Ghosts don't fight fair, technician. We don't hold lines. We don't take territory. We just... A pause. No, we just appear. The bunker shook. Another surface strike. Closer this time. They're getting close to your position, Admiral Cade said. Kellen, you should evacuate. Kellen laughed. It came out bitter. Evacuate where? There's nowhere left. Then stay in your tomb, Reeve said softly. Stay there and watch. When this is over, when the sky is ours again, we'll come get you. If there's a sky left to take, Phantom whispered. There will be, Arcturus said, because we're going to bleed them. For every human they killed, for every city they burned, for every child who died screaming. We're going to teach the triumvirate what humanity does when you back us into a corner. What's that? Kellen asked. We haunt you. The Ghost Fleet began to move. Across 3 dead systems, quantum drives ignited. Ancient hulls, sleek, black, designed for fear, slipped out of their tombs and into the dark. No running lights, no transponders, just shadows sailing toward war. Kellen watched them go on his screens. 47 signatures burning cold. Arcturus, he called, still here. Make them remember us. A pause. Then the ghost's voice came back, sharp as broken glass. Technician, we're going to make them wish they could forget. The channel went silent. Above Earth, the triumvirate armada continued its bombardment. Patient and methodical, they had no idea what was coming. They had no idea humanity had learned to weaponize death itself. The ghosts were sailing, and vengeance wore their faces. The Vorath dreadnought. Eternal judgment hung in high orbit, its weapons still warm from the latest bombardment. Commander Thelvar reviewed the tactical display with satisfaction. Another grid sector sterilized. Another piece of human resistance erased. The invasion was proceeding perfectly. Commander, his sensor officer said, anomaly detected. Quantum signatures, multiple contacts emerging from... The eternal judgment died before he could finish. It didn't explode. It simply stopped. Every system went dark simultaneously. Life support, weapons, shields, engines. 4,000 crew members gasped their last breaths in sudden vacuum as something impossible tore through the hull. A ship, black as the void, no larger than a Vorath frigate. It had appeared inside their formation. All vessels combat alert. High Commander. Zekthora broadcast from the flagship Dominion's Fist. Unknown hostile in sector. 3 more dreadnoughts went dark. Then 7. Then 12. The Ghost Fleet had arrived. Aboard the UNSGF Revenant, Commodore Arcturus watched the enemy formation scatter. His ship, a stealth cruiser built like a blade, slid between 2 Kesh battle carriers, its quantum drives leaving no signature, no trail. Nothing but corpses. Phantom status, he called. Hunting, came the whisper. Somewhere in the blockade, the stealth carrier UNSGF Phantom moved through the dark, invisible even to its own fleet. Where it passed, alien ships simply stopped. Crews found dead at their stations, faces frozen in terror. No wounds, no breaches, just ghosts. They're panicking, Captain Reeve reported from the destroyer UNSGF Spite. Her ship danced between enemy fire, moving with inhuman precision because she wasn't human anymore. Just a memory that remembered how to kill. Forath fleet breaking formation. They're trying to regroup. Don't let them, Admiral Cade commanded. The carrier UNSGF Requiem hung at the edge of the battle, launching fighter drones piloted by more Echoes. Dead pilots who'd been scanned mid-combat. Their final dogfight burned into silicon forever. They flew like demons, like they had nothing to lose because they didn't. The triumvirate armada outnumbered them 100-1. They had bigger ships, more weapons, ancient technology from empires that had ruled the stars for millennia. But they'd never fought ghosts before. The Ghost Fleet didn't hold formation, didn't establish firing lines, didn't follow any tactical doctrine in any empire's database. They appeared, struck, and vanished. Death by 1,000 cuts, horror by design. A Seln war cathedral, massive, ornate, built to inspire awe, found itself surrounded by 6 destroyers that materialized from quantum jump. The destroyers didn't fire immediately. They just circled, slowly, like sharks. Then they opened fire simultaneously, targeting not the hull but the fusion core, carving through armor with surgical precision. The War Cathedral's death was spectacular. Beautiful even. Its explosion lit up Earth's night side. For the record, Reeve said, I really missed this. Focus, Captain, Arcturus said, but his tone held approval. His ship rolled through a debris field, weapons cycling. A Kesh heavy cruiser tried to target him. Tried. The Revenant was already gone, quantum jumping point blank, emerging behind the cruiser and putting 3 fusion torpedoes through its engines. The cruiser spun into the orbital path of another alien vessel. Both collided. Both died. They're adapting, Admiral Cade warned. Triumvirate Command is tightening formations. They're forming defensive spheres around their capital ships. Then we go through them, Arcturus said. Through? Cade asked. Phantom, Arcturus called. You still burning? Always, the whisper came back. Then burn them all. The stealth carrier UNSGF Phantom dropped its cloak in the center of the triumvirate flagship formation. For one moment it was visible, sleek black covered in weapons that shouldn't exist. Weapons designed by desperate engineers who'd asked, what if we could weaponize fear itself? Phantom fired, not torpedoes, not railguns, something worse, neural disruptors. Weapons that didn't destroy hulls, they destroyed minds. Electromagnetic pulses tuned to biological frequencies, scrambling synapses, burning through alien nervous systems like wildfire through dry grass. 17 capital ships went silent in 30 seconds. Their crews didn't die. Not immediately. They just stopped. Stood at their stations, minds erased, bodies waiting for orders that would never come. Phantom, status? Arcturus demanded. Still burning, came the whisper. Still burning, still burning, still. The voice cut off. Phantoms down, Cade reported. Multiple impacts. Hull integrity failing? Did they get her? Reeve asked. No, Cade said quietly. She overloaded her own core. Took a Vorith dreadnought with her. Silence on the channel, brief, respectful. Then Arcturus. She's earned her rest. The rest of us keep fighting. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Ghost Fleet lost ships. 19 hulls destroyed, their neural echoes finally truly silent. But every ghost that fell took dozens of alien vessels with them. The triumvirate armada, ancient and proud, learned what terror meant. They'd come to Earth expecting to fight humans, biological, predictable, mortal. Instead, they found something else, something that remembered dying. Something that had already lost everything. You can't threaten a ghost with death. High Commander Zekathora watched his fleet dissolve. 4,000 ships reduced to debris and screaming. His tactical officers babbled about impossible maneuvers. About ships that moved like they knew where fire would be before it was fired. About enemies that felt no fear. They're toying with us, his second whispered. Zekathora didn't respond. He was watching a human destroyer, tiny, insignificant, carve through 3 of his battleships like they were paper. It moved with purpose. With hate, recall the fleet, he finally said, Commander. Recall the fleet. Break orbit. Full retreat. But Commodore Arcturus had been waiting for this. All ships, he broadcast. They're running. Don't let them. The Ghost Fleet converged. 28 remaining hulls moving as one, forming not a battle line but a net. They drove the triumvirate fleet together, compressed them, and then Fire everything. The sky lit up. In Bunker 7, Kellen Ward watched his screens. The orbital display showed chaos, debris fields, energy signatures, quantum flares, and slowly, impossibly, the red enemy markers were disappearing. Arcturus? He called into the silent static. Then, still here, technician. Sky's getting clearer. How many? Enemy? Maybe 300 ships left, running for jump distance. We're letting them go. Letting them? They need to tell the story, Arcturus said. They need to go home and tell their empires what happens when you try to erase humanity. They need to remember that we don't just fight back. His voice dropped, cold and final. We haunt you. Kellen looked up. Through the bunker's thick walls, he couldn't see the sky, but he could imagine it, black and full of stars again, full of human ghosts, sailing silent, keeping watch. What now? He asked. Now? Arcturus laughed. It sounded almost human. Now we wait. We're ghosts, Kellen. We don't get peace. We don't get rest. We just wait in the dark for the next enemy stupid enough to think humanity died easy. And if they come back, then we'll be here. We'll always be here. Dead men don't surrender, and we've got eternity to hold the line. The channel went quiet. Above Earth, the ghost fleet dispersed, slipping back into the dark, into quantum shadows, into legend. The triumvirate survivors fled into deep space, carrying stories of a species that wouldn't stay dead, stories of ships crewed by vengeance, stories that would keep empires awake at night. Humanity had fallen, but humanity had risen too. In the ruins of Earth, Kellen Ward sat alone in the dark and smiled. The dead were watching, and the stars belonged to ghosts.